We all know him as Uncle G, or the sales guy, or the real estate guy. Today I'm talking about the top 3 things I learned from Grant Cardone. Let's go. What's up, my fellow entrepreneurs, visionaries, and go-getters? Don Mohsin here. Welcome to Flashy Knowledge episode 15. Flashy Knowledge is, actually, hold up real quick, a little bit of a format change. This is where I usually say Flashy Knowledge is about my fashion startup, The Lasting Impression, and I leave you with advice. But I've realized that those coming for advice are having to sit through the business updates, which they may or may not necessarily be interested in. So actually I'm going to be using a Flashy Knowledge just for the advice piece. And if you are interested in learning about what's going on with The Lasting Impression, please go ahead and head to my social media channels, which I'll put in right over here, and you can kind of figure out the business updates. And I realized I probably should have been using my social media channels for that anyway. I don't know why I wasn't. I guess that's why I was confused as to how to use social media. But yeah, if you want any updates on The Lasting Impression, kind of where we are, where things are headed, check out those social media channels, and we'll kind of go from there. But for now, this format is just going to be about the advice I'm giving to the entrepreneurship community, the visionaries, the go-getters, as I mentioned, and just people wanting to learn, trying to do big things with their life. So with that being said, let's start off with our flashy advice for the week. So for this week, I'm focusing on something a little bit special. I'm talking about top 3 things I learned from Grant Cardone. Now, if you don't know Grant Cardone, start researching him. He's he's someone I look up to as kind of a virtual mentor, if you will. I would love to meet him one day. But he's he's the sales guy. He's not the sales guy, the real estate guy. He's into social media a lot, and he's really everywhere. And I really envy. And I really look up to the fact that he's just so confident. He just wants to do everything. He's not scared of anything. Even if he is, he does it anyway. I've learned so much just from following him on social media, reading his books, and I want to share 3 things that really resonated with me regarding some of the stuff that I learned from his books or about his teachings. So the first thing I want to start talking about is the 10x rule. If you guys haven't heard of it, if you haven't read about it, seen it, the 10x rule is available on Audible, and I'm pretty sure hard copy as well. It's one of his best-selling books. I've read it. I actually listened to it for the 3rd time a few weeks ago. A fantastic book, and like the premise of the book is a massive call to action, right? It means, take whatever you do, stop dabbling, stop, just trying little things here and there. You need to give 1,000% effort into whatever you're doing, and that's a real way for you to get value, get things done in your life. So there's examples of, if you actually want 10 clients, you actually need to contact 100 clients, and then you'll get those 10 clients. But the problem is, people say I want 10 clients, they shoot for those 10 clients, and they end up with 1 client, right? That's just one example. I probably didn't even give it justice. But I really love the fact that it's a call to action. It means do big things, get out of your small thinking, and just really take massive amounts of action everything you do. And it's really changed my mind and my perspective, because I was kind of dabbling in a lot of things and just thinking, well, if I achieve this small goal, I'll feel really good about myself. But let's say I want to make $1 million. Why isn't that, why is my goal not $10 million? Because if I actually aim for it and I 10x my way over there, and let's say I end up with 5 million, that's still 5 million. I wouldn't even have gotten there if I had set my goal to 1 million or something, right? So I really love that at its premise. It talks about massive calls to action, and I think a lot of people nowadays need that type of motivation, and they need something to kind of give them a little kick in their butt. I know it did for me. So if you haven't read it, you haven't seen it, definitely find his teaching, the 10x rule, and it'll definitely change your mindset a lot. The second thing I want to talk about that I learned from Grant Cardone, is to know your stuff. I really respect and love the fact that he's so confident in whatever he talks about. When I watch Cardone Zone, and people call in and they kind of just throw him, and there's just one example, they throw him real estate numbers, right? Oh, this is how much a deal is, this is like the cap rate, and and these are how many units, and he'll just go on his whiteboard and he'll start writing a bunch of stuff down, and then he'll spit out information about it that only someone who really knows about real estate would know. And the people are always shocked on the phone because they just threw out a bunch of numbers, but that just shows you how dedicated he is to learning his craft and knowing his stuff. He's just one of those guys that makes me feel like if you brought up any topic to him, he'd be able to have like a witty comeback to it, or he'd be able to engage in a conversation with you pretty much about anything. And even if he didn't know it, he'd be able to sell his way to make you think that he knew what he was talking about. So I really love the fact that he knows his stuff. You can see he's super dedicated in learning, whether it's real estate, sales, social media. You can't catch the guy off guard, and I really respect that. And that's something I've learned that I need to kind of have as a CEO, is being able to do this quick talking, witty comebacks, and understand like how to break down conversations and networking with people. So definitely know your stuff. Whatever your business is, whatever you're trying to change, achieve, study it hard, and be able to talk to it like an expert, because people will see that confidence, and that confidence will come out in your business and also your conversations. And the last thing I want to talk about, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this or backlash if this gets popular enough, but is the fact that we are actually all salesmen, saleswomen. So I will say this, at the beginning when I heard this concept by Grant Cardone, I was like, dude, I'm not in sales. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not a salesman. I'm not out there, selling insurance and, whatever, selling insurance. I can't think of what else, selling books or whatever. I don't know, is that a thing? Anyway, just selling. I'm not out there selling something, right? But then people started asking me about the company. Well, like what the company does, why it's better than like Stitch Fix or some of the other companies out there. And I realized that my pitches, they weren't prepared. Like I knew what to say, but they weren't polished. And I recently was asked, hey, I used to use Stitch Fix, and so what's the difference between you and Stitch Fix? Why would I want to go with your company? And you kind of just hit me that, what? Like thinking I'm a CEO and I don't have to sell anything, maybe my staff will do it, or whoever's working for me will do it, is totally incorrect. I just made me realize, in actuality, I'm probably the biggest salesman of the company. I need to know what my company is about. I need to know how to sell. I need to know how to sell myself, my idea, my vision, my why. And for the past few weeks, I've completely shifted gears and my not only my thinking but also my learning, because I figured out that, hey, I am absolutely a salesman. Everyone in my company is also a salesman or saleswoman, and we all need to be synced up and understand how to sell our product. So this whole idea of like sales are just for the salespeople, like Allstate and Geico and life insurance people, those are the salespeople. We're not salespeople. And the fact of the matter is, everyone is a salesperson for themselves, for the company, or for whatever they're doing, right? You have to be able to sell yourself. Like when you're trying to get a job, you got to be able to sell yourself, right? When you are trying to get a promotion, you got to sell yourself. When you are selling your product, you are not only selling the product, but you're selling the company, and you're selling yourself at the same time, especially if it's more of a consulting gig like we kind of have, right? So you are, whether you like it or not, you are a salesman or a saleswoman, and it would definitely benefit you to start to at least incorporate some of those learnings or the habits or like the right and wrong things to say in your overall learning curriculum, because it's helped me a lot. I've read his book, Sell or Be Sold, and I've also read Exactly What to Say, which is kind of like a it teaches you basically how to deal with objections and stuff like that. So I've started to incorporate some of those learnings into my overall kind of learning management for the company. So accept the fact that you're in sales, no matter what kind of position you're in or really who you are. You're going to be selling something, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you're able to get to learning the things you need to learn. All right, that wraps it up for this week's Flashy Knowledge episode. Hopefully you found the top 3 things I learned from Grant Cardone helpful. If you did, please make sure you like and subscribe. And I'm going to leave you with my personal mantra: you got to take action to get action. So go out there and conquer, and I will see you during the next episode. Take care. Don Mohsin out.